Ex-wife abruptly ended our 16-year relationship, but I already had a plan. They never saw it coming. It started on a Tuesday. I always remember the day because it was so unremarkable. That's what gets you, isn't it? The end doesn't always come with fireworks or sirens. It just shows up on a Tuesday morning when you're pouring coffee and trying not to spill it on the counter you refinished yourself last spring. I remember the mug. It was chipped on the rim, one of those silly ones with a cartoon dog she bought from a gas station on our road trip to Santa Fe 10 years ago. I'd always meant to throw it out, but I never did. Maybe I liked the way it anchored me to that version of us, the road trip version, before mortgage payments and cold silences. Before we became two ghosts haunting the same house. She came into the kitchen barefoot. I remember noticing the sound of her heels hitting the wood floor as she crossed, too light, too practiced, like she was walking on the surface of something she didn't want to disturb. She didn't say good morning, just stood there in her gray hoodie, the one with the bleach stain on the sleeve, arms crossed like she was hugging herself. I turned around and handed her a cup. She didn't take it. "Oh, I think I'm done," she said. I thought she meant the conversation we didn't have the night before. The one we avoided by watching reruns and pretending to be sleepy. I thought maybe she was still mad about the dishes, or that I forgot to call her mother on her birthday. I thought a lot of things before I let myself understand what she really meant. "Done with what?" I asked, my voice already dry. I felt a tremor somewhere under my ribs, like a glass about to crack under pressure. "This us 16 years, Mark. I can't do this anymore." Her voice was steady, not cold, not cruel, just finished. Like she'd come to a decision after weeks of packing, drafting mental scripts, whispering hard truths into pillows when she thought I was asleep. The light was coming through the blinds in narrow stripes cutting across her face. She looked almost angelic in that light, which made it worse. I looked for signs, red eyes, shaking hands, some crack in her composure, but there was nothing. She was calm, peaceful even, as if saying it finally let her breathe. I didn't say anything. I just stood there holding the mug like a fool, like if I didn't set it down, none of it was real. She moved past me and leaned against the counter. For a second, I caught the scent of her shampoo, lavender, and something warm. I don't even know what that smell is called, but I'd recognize it anywhere. It hit me like a memory you didn't ask for. "How long have you known?" I asked. She shrugged. "A while." The thing is, I had known too. Of course I had. I'm not that blind. You don't live in the same house with someone for 16 years and not feel the shift when the air between you stops humming. It wasn't sudden, it was erosion. The kind that happens so slowly you don't realize your foundation's gone until your feet sink through the floor. We hadn't touched each other in weeks. Months maybe. We went to bed at the same time but faced opposite walls. Conversations became logistics. Who's picking up groceries? Did you call the bank? Have you seen my keys? We were roommates with wedding rings, orbiting each other like planets caught in the same gravity, never colliding, just endlessly circling. Still, hearing her say it broke something. Not because I didn't expect it, but because part of me, maybe the most delusional part, still believed we could fix it. That if I just did one more thing right, remembered one more anniversary, bought her the right flowers, held her the right way, it would go back to how it was before the silences, before the distance. Before the 1,000 tiny cuts we both pretended weren't bleeding. I nodded slowly. "Okay." That's all I said, just okay. I didn't cry, I didn't beg, I didn't ask her to stay. I'd practiced this in my head too, all the ways I might react, all the scenes I might play out, anger, sadness, desperation. But when it came down to it, all I could do was accept it. She looked surprised, like she expected more. Maybe part of her wanted me to fight for it, to give her a reason to second-guess it all. But I had nothing left to offer that hadn't already been ignored. "I'll stay with Claire for a while," she said, "just until I figure things out." I didn't ask who else might be involved. I didn't want to know. Whether it was someone or something didn't matter. The relationship had already ended. She was just announcing it now. After she left that morning, the house was unnervingly still. It didn't feel empty, not right away. It felt staged. Like a hotel room you've been staying in too long, where your things are around but none of it feels like it belongs to you. Her coat still hung on the hook by the door. Her favorite mug, some artisan thing from a craft fair, sat in the drying rack. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't touch it. I walked through the house like a stranger. I opened drawers, looked through closets. I don't know what I was looking for, some sign she hadn't really meant it, some object I could hold on to like a talisman, but everything just looked like stuff. Lifeless, devoid of meaning without her hands on them, without her voice filling the rooms. That night I sat on the back porch with a beer and watched the sky go dark. The cicadas were loud, the kind of noise that fills your ears until it turns into a low drone like tinnitus. I thought about calling someone, my brother maybe, or that one friend who always said I could crash on his couch if things ever went to shit, but I didn't. Instead, I sat with the silence, let it press against me, let it teach me something. I remembered a conversation we had in the early years, maybe year 2 or 3, when everything still felt bright and soft. We were lying in bed, her head on my chest, her fingers drawing circles on my stomach. "What scares you most?" she asked. "Losing you," I said without even thinking. She smiled, kissed my shoulder. "You won't." But here we were, 16 years later, and I was watching her shadow fade down the driveway, too tired to chase her, too hollowed out to try. And still, deep down, beneath all the numbness and the ache, something else stirred. Not hope, not yet, but maybe something sharper, older, a part of me I hadn't touched in years. The part that knew how to survive. Because what she didn't know, what no one knew, was that I'd been preparing, quietly, slowly, like a man stocking up for winter he hopes won't come. I'd started a savings account under a different name, rented a tiny studio across town under the guise of creative space. It started as a fantasy, a backdoor, then it became a possibility, then a plan. I never thought I'd need it, but now that I did, I wasn't scared. Something had broken, that was true, but sometimes things don't break to destroy you, sometimes they break to set you free. And maybe, just maybe, I was ready for what came next. The first night without her, I slept in our bed. Wasn't intentional. I think I just moved through the house on autopilot, brushing my teeth, pulling back the covers, sliding into her absence like it was muscle memory. The sheets still smelled like her rose and cedarwood, maybe a trace of that mint lotion she always overapplied to her knees. I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling fan spinning its slow, indifferent circles, and realized I hadn't been able to feel her in that bed for a long time. And now that she was gone, her presence was everywhere. I didn't sleep. I closed my eyes, but my mind played a highlight reel of nothing, just still images, her eating cereal barefoot, her tying her hair up in that sloppy bun, her mouth opening mid-sentence before I tuned her out. I used to love her voice. It used to settle me. Now it haunted the walls like leftover static. By 5 a.m. I was in the car, driving nowhere specific, that kind of anxious movement where you just need the engine to be louder than your thoughts. I drove past our old diner, the one with the chipped linoleum tables and the waitress who always gave us extra whipped cream. I thought about stopping, about ordering pancakes and pretending it was still 2009. But I kept going, cowards move. I ended up at the studio. It wasn't much, just a cramped, dusty loft above an old print shop, rented under a name I made up. M. Ellis. She didn't know about it, no one did. I'd started it months before, not because I was planning to leave, but because I was suffocating. The place was meant to be a secret breathing hole, somewhere I could be a version of myself that wasn't her husband, wasn't anyone's expectation. I hadn't done much with it beyond hanging a crooked corkboard and dumping a few canvases against the walls. But that morning, it felt like a sanctuary. I left my phone in the car and sat on the floor, back against the wall, knees pulled to my chest like I used to do in high school when things felt too loud. I don't know how long I stayed there, long enough for the light to shift, long enough for the world to wake up around me while I sat absolutely still. The crying came later, in bursts. It never looked like how it does in movies. No screaming, no fists against walls, just this weird, chest-caving grief that came out in choking exhales. I'd be halfway through making a sandwich or brushing my teeth and it would hit like a wave, wet, sharp, stupid grief. I started painting again, not because I had a vision or anything. I just needed to do something with my hands. The first piece was nothing, just slashes of black and red on a torn canvas I'd found in the back closet. It looked like rage. It felt like truth. I left it leaning against the wall and didn't look at it again. I picked up freelance gigs, copywriting mostly. Dumb taglines for beauty products and car dealerships. It was beneath me, honestly, but money was money and it kept me distracted. I could write without feeling, that was the appeal. I called Dana, the therapist I'd seen 3 years ago after my dad died. She used to wear clunky necklaces and always had a bowl of stale peppermints by the door. She picked up on the first ring. I was wondering how long it'd take, she said. Is that your way of saying you're not surprised? No, Mark, it's my way of saying I'm glad you called. Therapy was like peeling wallpaper. Every week, we stripped back another layer of myself I didn't want to look at. I told her about the studio, the plan, the way I'd emotionally checked out of the marriage before she physically left. So you feel guilty for preparing, she asked. I feel guilty for not feeling worse. That's what it came down to. I wasn't shattered in the way people expected. I wasn't drinking myself into oblivion or texting her at 2 a.m. with please come backs. I was just here, raw, a little numb, but weirdly present. There were bad days, of course there were. There was the morning I found her necklace tangled in the bathroom drawer and I sat on the floor holding it like it was a newborn. There was the night I ran into her sister at the gas station and couldn't meet her eyes. There was the Sunday I got halfway to the grocery store before remembering we used to shop together, always on Sundays, always aisle 7 first because she liked to pick out cereal before anything else. But there were better days too, small ones. I made a playlist of songs I liked but never played because she didn't. I ate tuna salad in bed and didn't bother with a plate. I bought cheap candles from a thrift store and lit them for no reason except that I wanted to. Then came the run-in. Grocery store fluorescent lighting, 2 carts, a corner turned too fast. She looked up from a basket of apples and froze. I stopped mid-step, hands gripping the cart like a lifeboat, and behind her there he was, taller than me, broad shoulders, beard that looked sculpted. He placed his hand lightly on the small of her back like he had a claim. She didn't see me, or maybe she did and pretended not to. Honestly, I don't know what would have been worse. I stood there stuck in place while a kid brushed past me holding a box of Lucky Charms. For a second I felt like I might throw up, but it passed, just like everything else. When I finally turned away, there was no dramatic exit. No scene, I just walked down the next aisle and picked up a jar of peanut butter, the crunchy kind she always bought smooth. Back at the studio, I painted something new. It had color this time, orange cobalt, a strange sliver of yellow bleeding through the center. I didn't know what it meant, I didn't care, but it didn't feel like rage, it felt like breath. That night I slept on the floor, curled next to the heater. No dreams, just a strange floating stillness. It's funny, when she left I thought it would kill me, thought the silence would devour me whole. But in the quiet I'm starting to hear things again, myself, my wants. The faint rhythm of a life that was waiting beneath the debris. And I'm still here. Still breathing. Still brushing my teeth. Still making toast. Still picking up broken pieces one at a time. And for now, that's enough. It was a Wednesday when she texted me. Just hey, hope you're doing okay, can we talk sometime? 12 words, polite, casual. Like we hadn't spent 16 years building a life and then ripping it apart, quiet and civilized, like tearing down wallpaper one sheet at a time. I stared at the message, thumb hovering, waiting for something inside me to tell me what to do. I thought I'd feel angry. I thought I'd want to delete it, block her. Leave her voice echoing in the past where I'd shoved every other part of her. But instead, I just sat there, breathing slow, trying to figure out what I even wanted anymore. I waited a full hour before replying. Azure. We met in the park near the old house. Neutral ground, the kind of place you meet someone when you're not quite strangers but definitely not lovers anymore. I picked a bench near the pond, the one with the rusted plaque that said in loving memory of Stanley who loved the ducks. I sat facing the water. She arrived 5 minutes late, just like she used to. Always 5 minutes late, always with a quick apology, even for things she didn't regret. She looked older, not in a bad way, just more real. She had less makeup on, a sweater too big for her shoulders, and a tiredness in her eyes that felt familiar. Maybe I wore it too. Hi, she said, sliding onto the bench beside me, leaving that perfect inch of space between us. That space you reserve for someone you used to sleep beside every night. "Oh, hey," I said. We sat like that for a while. The wind moved the trees. Kids laughed somewhere behind us. The world went on, oblivious to the tension coiled in my gut. "I wanted to say I'm sorry," she said eventually. "For how I ended things, I should have talked to you sooner. I should have, I don't know, handled it better." Her voice broke slightly on the last word. She cleared her throat like she was swallowing something sharp. I didn't answer right away. I wanted to tell her I forgave her. I wanted to tell her it didn't matter anymore. But both would have been lies in that moment. So instead I asked, "Why now?" She looked down at her hands. Her nails were painted dark red, chipped at the corners. She always used to touch them up on Friday nights while watching bad TV. The details crushed me in ways I didn't expect. "I don't know, I guess I thought I'd feel more relieved," she said. "But I've been carrying this guilt and I didn't want you to think I didn't care." "Did you?" "What? Care?" She blinked. "Of course I did, I do." I nodded, eyes fixed on the pond. Two ducks floated past us like props in a stage play. "You didn't fight for it," I said, not bitter, just honest. "I didn't think there was anything left to fight for." That landed hard. She wasn't wrong, we'd been hollow for a long time. But hearing her say it felt like someone drawing a chalk outline around a dead body and telling you to identify it. I exhaled slowly. "You were already gone before you said the words." She looked at me, then really looked. Not like someone making polite eye contact, but like someone searching for something they'd left behind. "You seem different," she said, "lighter but harder too." I smirked. I had to grow some calluses. She winced. "That's fair." I turned to face her fully. I didn't plan on saying it, but it came out anyway, like truth bubbling up from a place I'd buried it. "I had a plan, you know." Her eyebrows drew together. "What do you mean?" "I mean I'd already started imagining life without you before you said anything. I rented a studio, started painting again, saved some money. I didn't know exactly what I was planning, but it wasn't accidental. You weren't the only one who left." Her face didn't register anger, just confusion, or maybe recognition. "You didn't tell me," she said softly. "No, I didn't." Silence stretched between us, not the bad kind, just real weighty. "I thought I was the villain," she whispered. "I thought I was the one who tore it down." "We both did," I said, "brick by brick." A breeze picked up. She shivered a little, pulled her sweater tighter. I almost reached out, almost, but my hand stayed in my lap. "I guess I was hoping you'd hate me," she said. I looked at her, tilted my head. "Why?" "Because then it would make more sense. This distance. It'd be easier than this weird gray area where we're just two people who got tired." I nodded. I understood that too well. She stood after a while, said she should go. Work, or maybe something else, someone else I didn't ask. She looked down at me, hesitant. "Do you want to stay in touch?" I shook my head, not angry, not cruel, just honest. "I think I need to know who I am without you first." Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. She just gave me the smallest nod and walked away. I didn't watch her leave. I stared straight ahead, feeling the exact moment her presence slipped from the edges of my awareness. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt released. That night I stood in front of the canvas I'd been avoiding, the one I hadn't touched in weeks. I picked up a brush, dipped it in a kind of green I never used, something alive, something soft, and started painting over the black. I didn't know what it was yet, but it was becoming. And maybe that was enough. It's strange how quiet can stop feeling like absence and start feeling like presence. These days I wake up to stillness. No voice murmuring beside me, no shared rituals, just the soft scrape of the heater kicking on, the morning light filtering through dusty blinds, and the faint city hum leaking through the cracked windows of my studio. It should feel lonely. And maybe sometimes it does. but mostly it feels like air returning to lungs that had forgotten how to expand. The mattress is still on the floor. I could have bought a bed frame by now. Hell, I could have rebuilt the whole space into something more respectable, more adult. But I haven't. The floor feels grounding, honest. When I wake up, I can press my hand against the cold concrete and remember, this is real, I'm here. The pain's quieter now, not gone, just softened like the dull ache after a pulled muscle. You forget it's there until you reach for something in just the wrong way and suddenly you remember everything. But the remembering doesn't crush me anymore. I can sit with it, let it pass. I see her sometimes, not in person, not since that day in the park, but I pass by the coffee shop she used to like. I hear her favorite song in grocery stores. I scroll past a book review she would have sent me, and she's there in flashes, in echoes. The ghost of someone I once built a life around. But I don't stop walking when I see those reminders. I don't linger, I don't run either, I just keep going. That's the rebuild. It's not dramatic. It's not made of sweeping moments or grand declarations. It's made of choosing to keep moving, even when the ground still feels unfamiliar. I've been writing more real writing, not ad copy or cold freelance work. I finished a story last month, my first in years, that wasn't about her, not directly. It was about a man who builds a house from reclaimed wood and names each floorboard after a part of himself he thought he'd lost. It was weird and quiet and too personal, but I sent it out anyway. It got accepted, a small online journal, no money but still. I printed the email and taped it to the wall above my desk. It's crooked. It makes me smile every time I see it. I don't talk about her in therapy much anymore, Dana notices. She brings her up occasionally just to check in. But mostly we talk about me now, not me as her husband, not me as the one left behind, just me. It's harder than you'd think, learning how to be a person again when you've been an extension of someone else for so long. I've made new rituals. I drink the coffee I actually like, dark roast with oat milk, none of that hazelnut crap she insisted on. I take long walks in the evenings with no destination just to feel the rhythm of my own steps. I keep a small notebook in my coat pocket and write down anything that makes me feel something, a phrase I overheard, the shape of a cloud, a weird dream. I'm collecting pieces of myself like sea glass, slowly, carefully, some of them sharp, some of them smoothed by time. There's a woman at the bookstore I go to now. Her name's Ray. She has these wide eyes like she's always just remembered something important. She doesn't know anything about me, not yet, just that I like poetry and sit in the corner chair and always put my phone face down on the table. Sometimes she smiles at me like I'm a lighthouse in the fog, even if I don't feel like one. We haven't gone out, haven't exchanged numbers. There's no story there, just a feeling, a possibility, a gentle reminder that new things are still allowed. I think that's what healing really is. It's not a straight line. It's not a dramatic comeback. It's noticing one day that you didn't think about them for an hour, then a whole afternoon, then a weekend. And when they do return in your mind, it doesn't knock the air out of your lungs. It just passes through like wind through a half-open window. I've stopped needing to understand everything, why she left, why I stayed as long as I did, why we couldn't save it. Some answers exist only to haunt us, but the questions have softened. Sometimes I wonder who I was to her. What version of me lives in her memory now? The devoted partner, the emotionally distant ghost, the stranger in the same bed. I don't know, and I don't need to, because I know who I am to myself now. I'm the man who survived being unraveled. The man who didn't turn to rage or blame but sat in the wreckage and asked, now what? I'm the man who paints even when the colors make no sense, who writes stories that feel like confessions, who listens to sad songs because they're honest, not because he wants to wallow. I'm building something not fast, not flashy, just steady. A little shelf I made with my own hands now holds the books I actually love. The walls are slowly filling with art my own, and some from local artists I've started following. I have a plant I haven't killed yet. Its leaves lean toward the window like they know something I don't. There's peace in that. The plan I had when she left, it wasn't revenge, it wasn't even escape, it was survival, and now it's transformation. It's choosing to stay when everything in you wants to disappear. It's looking at the wreckage and realizing that what you build next won't be a replica of what came before. It'll be smaller maybe, simpler, but stronger, yours. So here I am. living in a tiny studio with no bed frame, drinking oat milk coffee, painting shapes I don't understand, writing words that feel like truths, and healing slowly, quietly, imperfectly. Oh, she's gone, but I'm not. And that feels like something sacred.